I hope everyone had an amazing New Year's and that your 2024 is off to a great start. I know I'm looking forward to a lot of things to come this year, one of them being the release of Xdefiant. After about a month of silence from Mark Rubin and the team over at Ubisoft during the holiday break, we finally got an update on the progress of the game. Before we jump into the update, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the release of the game and what you're looking forward to the most. A lot of people seem to think the game is going to have a hyperscape moment and flop after the initial hype dies down. But we'll go into that later. Let's jump into the update we got from Mark over on Twitter. He said, "The team's getting back into the office this week, and we are ready for a great year. We will have some more specific news in the next couple weeks as we get ready for launch. But the quick update on our progress is, number one, we've addressed the weird issues that were affecting netcode, and we will continue to improve and test our netcode before launch. And number two, we've implemented the new party system and are now just putting it through rigorous testing and bug fixes as we get ready for launch. I also want to give a shout out to those team members who worked through the holidays. Much of our team is working on future content, but many of those that are working on getting the game ready to ship did put in some hours over the holidays, and I want to recognize their dedication. We try very hard not to be a crunch studio as we care about our people and their families. The whole team is very dedicated to Xdefiant, and we are super excited to launch this game. Honestly, it's such a breath of fresh air to get communication from the people developing the games that you're interested in." One of the things that stands out to me in that statement is, as we get ready for launch. Does that mean that it's coming possibly in February or even sooner? As much as people think that the game missed its window to release before Modern Warfare 3, I think in the long run it might actually pan out for the better. Not only are people starting to get bored of playing maps that many of us have played many times before, but for a lot of players, Call of Duty just starts to get stale around February. You combine that with the fact that Xdefiant has one massive advantage over every AAA shooter on the market, the one thing that people complain about the most in Call of Duty, and that is skill-based matchmaking. Remember, Xdefiant will launch with no skill-based matchmaking or very lightly tuned skill-based matchmaking. Whatever skill level you're at, I think a lot of us can agree that matchmaking in Modern Warfare 3 feels absolutely cranked to the max. Now take those two things and add in all the people who skipped Modern Warfare 3 because they felt it was just a DLC and that they weren't going to pay $70 for what was essentially an update to Modern Warfare 2. Xdefiant is starting to look like it has a pretty big potential audience. Now I know what some of you are going to say, nothing will ever kill Call of Duty. I got it. And maybe not, that's fine. I don't think Xdefiant's goal is to take down Call of Duty, but instead to serve the audience of people who prefer a more traditional arcade shooter, the way that it used to be. Now, player retention is going to depend on a lot of things post-launch, especially without artificial matchmaking manipulating your experience to keep you hooked on the game. It's going to have to do it organically, with good content, and most importantly, meaningful progression. Xdefiant's going to have to give players a reason to stick around and keep playing, or it may fizzle out like other games. As a person who wants to release my own shooter game in the future, I've done a lot of thinking around what makes games successful over a long period of time. Many games can do well up front for a few months, but very few can actually stand on their own two legs for years in the way that games like Fortnite and Apex Legends have. I think I've boiled it down to one core concept, and it might explain why the team at Ubisoft has been working so hard on the party system. The one make or break factor for most games these days: can people hop on and play with their friends? If you can't load up the game and play with the boys into the late hours of the night, you're going to have a hard time keeping players in the game. Sure, you might be able to attract new players, but if they're always seeing their friends playing something else, there's a good chance that they'll just eventually switch games. When you consider just how important being able to play with your friends is, it just adds another layer to how impactful skill-based matchmaking can be. How many of us have friends that are either so much better or so much worse than us that trying to just casually hop on, play some games, and chat with our friends is basically impossible? It's difficult to have a good time when you're absolutely sweating trying to carry your team, or on the flip side, you're getting pounded into the ground just trying to play with your friends. Call of Duty used to be the game because you could always hop on with your friends after school and everyone had it. Xdefiant having no strong matchmaking, being free to play, and crossplay makes this a very accessible game for a lot of people. Now, the last thing I hope to see in the game is a proper ranked system. I know it's a stretch, but there's a small possibility that if the game explodes, that we could see a new era in esports focused around Xdefiant. With teams dropping out of Apex Legends and the esports scene overall being just a bit stale, there's a lot of opportunity on the table. If you're the type of person who likes to try new games or is looking for any reason to play something besides Call of Duty, check out this video about a game called The Finals, one of the best free-to-play first-person shooter games.